It's going towards station gear and maintenance as well as physicals. It's going towards a group of men and women doing it all from the goodness of their hearts. That's absolutely right. Even a mouthful can be a medical emergency for a small child, and it even can be absorbed through the skin. It's a product that has the potential to be a poison.
What do you smoke?
It's banana nut bread.
Doesn't sound like the kind of flavor you'd see someone smoking, but e-cigarette users like Jennifer Boyd swear by it, and she's not alone. Pediatrician William Nichols says consumption over the past few years is on the rise.
It's alarming because the use of e-cigarettes have gone up so much in the last 3 years that the poisoning rate could continue to go up.
Dr. Nichols says he's concerned with just how accessible the product is.
People are buying it online, and it's becoming really popular with teenagers.
And the dangers of a nicotine overdose.
Your blood pressure goes up, you get tremors, it can even progress to seizures. And if you don't treat it, it can go on to where your heart rate actually drops, your blood pressure drops, and you can go into a coma.
The nicotine liquids are often brightly colored and come in a wide variety of flavors, making them attractive to children.
Children will absorb the fluid much easier, and they have a smaller mass, so it's a higher toxicity.
Which is why Boyd, a mom, does everything she can to use the product safely.
I use this around my 3-year-old, but I keep all my products up and away from him where he can't get it.
As with any product that has the potential to be a poison, Dr. Nichols says if you or your child becomes overexposed to nicotine, call 911 immediately. Tim? Now, about 1,000 people came through the door today to experience about 15 different types of screenings, including this right here. This is an EKG, or an electrocardiogram, which measures the tracings of your heart. That's right, Courtney, and it could take a couple of days for the ship to actually reach the search area. Meanwhile, several dozen Chinese relatives of the missing passengers have arrived in Malaysia to demand an apology, dignity, and the truth about the missing plane. Initially, the family members were ushered through a VIP section of the airport in Kuala Lumpur, but some say they felt more like captives than guests in their hotel.
I just wanted to come and meet the minister and meet other family members, but I was not allowed to leave, and they wouldn't arrange transportation. They wouldn't even let me take a taxi. I lost my freedom.
Now, Chinese families and Malaysian families are housed in separate hotels. The Chinese families were told they could not attend a briefing being held for the Malaysian families, which caused tension to rise even more. Family members say they just want to know more details about the missing plane. Courtney? Horry County Fire Rescue is receiving nearly a $1 million grant for volunteers. Coming up, find out where that money's going and what it means for you. About 15 feet from this wall, Devon says they're planning on adding another chair of honor right here at Warbird Park in the Market Common. And he says this one's expected to be complete by September. Good morning, Courtney. Well, a very tragic Easter Sunday morning here in Garden City. You can see right over my shoulder, this is where crews responded to a fire at about 3:54 o'clock this morning. Unfortunately, we found out within the last hour and a half that one person has died inside of the fire. They were found on the second floor on the right side, if you can see there. Unfortunately, they were missing for a period of time. Firefighters tell us that they were missing for a period of time. They couldn't find that individual. They later then found the person inside of the unit. We're also told 5 other individuals, to save their lives, they actually jumped from the second floor windows down to the ground to save their lives. We're told they have all been taken to the hospital. Again, the conditions of them vary from critical. We know at least one of those individuals is in critical condition. The others, we just don't know how serious their conditions are. Now, we believe, this is what firefighters are telling us, that they believe that that was all one family who was living in that unit on the left side. Most of it was contained to the second floor, they say, and they believe it was one family. We don't know if they were renters or property owners. No one's been able to confirm that yet. We don't know the identities. No one's been able to confirm that either. Now, I just, between the last time I spoke to you, Courtney, I just spoke to a family who happened to be on the other side, and understandably, they didn't want to go on camera, but they were telling me at about 3:50, they actually ran out of the other side, went down the stairs, and were able to get free. But as you can imagine, a very tragic situation for them to have to experience just on the other side of their apartment. So, Courtney, we will have a whole lot more for you coming up on the news at 6 and on CarolinaLive.com. Allison. They definitely are very dangerous, and there are so many of them. In Horry County alone, there's about 10,000 of these retention ponds. Many of them, they get very steep, like this one right here, very steep very quickly. I'm right at the edge right here. I was also surprised to find out that a lot of these retention ponds, they're not surrounded by fences, making them even more dangerous. So aren't they more regulated? Here's what we found out. A terrifying start to the Easter weekend. The entire second floor unit of this two-story Murrells Inlet apartment on fire. Firefighters say 4 people were trapped inside.
It's one of them things that you pray for their family.
Now 2 people jumped out of the second floor window fearing for their lives. They landed right here, and firefighters say they sustained only minor injuries. The other 2 saved by firefighters as they made their way into the building.
Our crews made entry, knocked down the bulk of the fire and rescued those individuals.
They suffered severe burns and cardiac arrest. They were flown to a burn center in Georgia. Murrells Inlet Garden City Fire Assistant Chief J.R. Haney says the fire was contained to 1 apartment unit. Crews stayed on scene most of Saturday, looking for clues as to what might have caused the fire. So far, no cause has been released.
Nothing that we found as of yet indicates an explosion. It could have been just the pressure from the heat blowing out the windows, but as of this time, we have found nothing that indicates an explosion.
Neighbors in this quiet apartment community are still coming to terms with what they saw. William Matsey, who's only met his neighbors in passing, says he's praying for their recovery.
These poor people, they're without a home, plus fighting for their lives. It's not easy.
In Murrells Inlet, Marc Liverman, WPD News Channel 15. A tragic Easter Sunday morning fire. Hear from one woman who saw it all. Find out what she did to help. Easter Sunday morning in Garden City was rocked by the sounds of screams and sirens as a fire tore through an apartment unit on Calhoun Drive. Luann Cromer awoke to the sound of explosions.
I noticed the time, so I looked out the window and just saw flames coming out of the bottom of the home. So I grabbed my phone and called 911.
Murrells Inlet Garden City Assistant Fire Chief J.R. Haney says 5 people jumped from the second-story apartment window to escape the fast-approaching smoke and flames.
We had 5 occupants that self-rescued by jumping out of the window. They were found on the ground. We transported those individuals to area hospitals. 1
person, though, was still inside. Firefighters found her body as they searched through the smoke and flames. The Horry County coroner later confirmed she was 38-year-old Melissa Lamb of Timmonsville. Neighbors like Luann Cromer gathered in the early morning chaos, trying to comfort those who were saved.
They were crying and screaming, obviously, for some individuals that were still inside the home.
Firefighters worked for hours, managing to contain the fire to one side of the building. Now, investigators continue to comb the scene, looking for any signs as to what caused the fire.
That's a very sad way to end spring break and start your Easter Sunday. It's, you know, I feel horribly for those families. Very scary.
On this Easter Sunday, neighbors like Cromer pray for everyone involved. In Garden City, Marc Liverman, WPD News Channel 15. Good morning, Courtney. Well, a tragic Easter Sunday here in Garden City. This unit right here, this 2-story unit you're seeing right over my shoulder here, the second floor of that unit completely ablaze. Firefighters were called here at about 3:54 o'clock this morning. What we're being told so far, this is all information that's been coming in over the last hour and a half, but what we're being told so far is that at least 1 person in that unit, we know at least 1 person confirmed dead. Firefighters were looking for that individual for an extended period of time. We don't know how long it was that they were looking. That 1 person was unaccounted accounted for, but they were looking inside and around the unit. Eventually, that person was tragically found dead inside on the second floor as a result of the fire. We also know 5 other individuals, 5 total, jumped out of the second floor windows to save themselves, to save their lives. We don't know the period of time. We don't know the chronology of how this all happened, but we know this is what happened so far. Bear with me here as we're getting a lot of this information in. We know that conditions in terms of those 5 people, they vary in severity. We know at least one person who was taken to the hospital is in critical condition. The other 5, we still don't know how serious their conditions are. As far as we know so far, those 5 individuals, or 6 possibly, are one family. They were all living on one side of that building. That's what we're being told. But again, we're not sure if they were property owners or tenants. One other thing I really want to mention to you, Courtney, is I was speaking to the assistant fire chief, and he was telling me since yesterday they had a massive fire in Murrells Inlet yesterday. This is their second huge fire that they're responding the same shift over the entire weekend. So definitely taking a very big toll on Murrells Inlet Garden City Fire Rescue.